Miigwech everybody, miigwech to Professor Liz Webb Kamigat. Today on my final creative reflective paper, I thought about what's the most creative way of showing what I learned during this course, and the only thing I could say was what I've learned throughout, in a way that how my mind speaks, and like how I could just convey how I actually feel about the entire course in general. So on my journey, I had done Anishinaabe 1006 with Miss Liz coming God and her daughter, and also her husband coming to the class and explaining us about the few traditions of the Anishinaabe culture, and like how Miss Web Kaminga's husband would, as a hunter, would like use each and every part of the prey that he had hunted, and like how the women would all cook all the foods and stuff while the men went out and hunted. So on my journey on this course on 1007, something different from 1006 was this gave me a little bit of deep understanding, not only within the Anishinaabe culture, but also like a deep understanding within myself. So on my journey this semester, first we learn about the creation story. So in the creation story, like in Anishinaabe culture, it talks about how the universe was formed, and how the first man was formed in the shape of the creator, and then the first person that the first living being that was as a company to the man was a wolf. Now this really struck out to me because it made a lot of sense, because like as a man having a wolf as a companion while starting his early life really struck out to me, because as before I even turned into a man that I am now, the first person that I really shared a very close bond with was with my dog. It's a relative of a wolf, and in a way I saw it that way, and this became very personal to me, and like of how the creator bestowed the companionship of a wolf to a man after his first completion of task. And in the Anishinaabe creation story, I also learned that with great sacrifices, like for like greater reward, great sacrifices are required. No matter how big or how small, what really matters is how big of a heart you have. As a story of like the little muskrat who dove inside the water, and like brought like bits of sand on top, so that the whole earth would again get land back. Like the sacrifice that he actually did for all this, for all living beings, showed how much of a big heart that he had, and like how much a living being can actually make a difference, no matter like how big or small you are. And similarly, we went to the course, followed up, and then the other thing that I learned was about the naming ceremony. So now in the Anishinaabe culture, I learned that the elders, especially the elders, name the young baby. The elders give the young baby a name, so like as guardians, so like in case anything happens to the parents or somebody, they always would be there to take care of the child and like help it grow to become a better person and everything. So similarly, like we have a same tradition back home, naming ceremony. It's called pasni. So in this ceremony, like the young baby, there's a whole ceremony with monks, especially in my culture, because I'm from a Buddhist family. So in my culture, I remember like my grandmom telling me that when I was a baby, she took me to this big monk called Rinpoche, and among there was like she took me to this monastery, and like the Lord Rinpoche, he bestowed the name of Karma Dhindup Gurung to me, and that's how my grandmom and how my family have now started calling me Karma Gurung, because it was a name passed down by one of the elder in our culture, like one of the highest elders in our culture. And since then, like a lot of things in Anishinaabe culture has been really very relating to my culture, because I come from an indigenous ethnic tribe too back in Nepal. We're like one of the smallest group of people. We're from the district of Manang. We live in the Himalayas. Most of the time, most of the people from there have migrated towards the capital city, like how my family had. But we've also lost a lot of like our traditions and values. So just to keep everything in check. Every year we do this. Every year we do this tradition of a 7 day tradition where the people from specific villages do their own gatherings in a big monastery. Similarly, I am from a village called, my family is from a village called Gharu, so we call it Gharu Metha. And if some other person from a village called Pisang, would be called Pisang Metha. So in this tradition we always come together, and like the guys will stick to their roots of like how my grandfather, the elders, my grandfathers, my fathers and stuff, they would play the arrow. They will play the arrow, talk, drink, while the women the women would be in the monastery and would be like cooking a feast. Like not only the older women but even the younger women, and everybody would be helping out, like like helping out, gossiping, talking, not like gossiping but like talking, sharing things, and like also like getting to know like what they have missed on each other's families. And not only that but also like in a way of understanding whose kids have grown to be what, whose daughters are grown to be what, whose sons have grown to be what. It's also like a way of like people getting to know within our community, so who are in like a perfect age to like who they could like set up, and like who could like who they could marry within the community, so they could keep the tradition alive for the next generation. And like given like the creation story, not only we I also have a creation story of karma in Nepal, like of how our people were actually how our people actually came to be in the capital of Kathmandu. Like I remember my grandmom telling me about this story regarding how before the capital city of Nepal was just a big lake, then the god Manjushri came in and he cut a hill and drained all the water from it, and that's how the fertile land of Kathmandu came to be, and that's how everybody started settling in the valley, and that's what made it one of the most densely populated and like densely developed city of Nepal. So now, some other things that I would really actually want to get off my mind would be like in let me just give me 1 second. It's very hard for me to pronounce this, but let me just say it. Let me just read it again. So it's called, okay, I don't want to butcher the spelling. So in the concept of Mino Bima Dijuin, in Mino Bima Dijuin, the good of life, like the concept mostly circles around like not only like balancing my life and success. It balances about like my life, around the balancing of my life along with my role towards the society, and my responsibility towards how I take care of Mother Earth and how I give back to the community and the world itself. And among this, one of the biggest thing that actually like hit to me was like the role of women in one of the aspects of Bima Dajuin was the role of women in like how they take care of they are the like caretakers and the information bearers and the passer of knowledge towards the new generation. And how women have always played this major role in the Anishinaabe culture. Now this really hits me back because as a person, as a child, I was raised by my grandmom, and like she would always be the one who would take care of the house, like make sure the house is in good shape, make sure everybody is taken care of, not only me but all my grandchildren and her sons and daughters too. She would be like the decision maker, like everything had to pass through her. And how she always kept the house together, and like how she always made sure everybody was taken care of, all her grandchildren. She would make sure we all 5 grandchildren of hers studied in different schools. She would make sure she went to each and every school during her weekend so that she could come and see us, because we all lived in boarding schools for. And in this throughout this whole understanding of Bima Dijuin, I just can't help but like realize like how like women have actually played a major role in like helping the younger generation, in helping like actually actually make people grow into like who they're supposed to be, like build people, build children, like may it be a small girl or a small guy. It's mostly the role of the women, like the mothers and the grandmothers, who actually like take the role of mentorship in the first steps, and take the step of like giving a hand and showing them towards this whole world of culture that we have, the sense of belonging, a sense of place that we would always like can run back to find our purpose in life. Not only that, not only that, like even regarding languages, like studying in a boarding school, my first two languages, all I knew was Nepali and English. But because of my grandmom, I understood the concept of Manange language, the language that my people spoke. I also understood the concept of Tibetan, like how one of my people spoke. And also not only that, we also have like different variations of language, different variations of traditions, mostly related to how we give back to earth, and how the dynamic of a woman and of a man should be in a family. Like just because a man makes the bread doesn't mean that he is the main person. No, I do not agree with that. A man makes the bread, but the person who's actually utilizing the income, utilizing and keeping the whole family together, that's the part of the woman. It's as much as equal as the purpose of a man to be the breadwinner of the family. Because one can make money, but what's the point of that money if the house that you're actually working for is broken? A broken house has no value if